Camila was a singer. She loved music deeply and had a voice that could touch the hearts of everyone who heard her. Her dream was to sing on big stages, to have her music reach people around the world. One day, she met Daniel Young. Daniel was a well-known football player. He was tall, strong, and very charming. He had a lot of fans, especially women, but it was Camila's voice that caught his attention. The first time Daniel heard her sing, he knew she was special. He couldn't help but tell her, "Your voice is magical, Camila. You're going to be famous." Camila smiled shyly, feeling both flattered and excited. She had always dreamed of being noticed for her music, but hearing such kind words from someone like Daniel made her heart race. Soon, they started spending more time together. They went to concerts, dinners, and even traveled to beautiful places. Their love story quickly became something everyone talked about. The media loved them, and people saw them as a perfect couple. They were always smiling in pictures, always laughing and holding hands in public. Everywhere they went, the world watched them. It was like a fairy tale. After a year of being together, Daniel took their relationship a step further. He asked Camila to marry him. His proposal was simple but meaningful. It was a quiet moment between them, surrounded by love and hope for the future. "Will you marry me?" Daniel asked, his voice soft and full of love. Camila didn't hesitate. Tears filled her eyes as she said, yes. She felt so happy, so loved. Their wedding was everything Camila had dreamed of. It was grand, with beautiful decorations, a huge cake, and many guests. The photographers were everywhere, capturing every moment of their special day. It felt like a dream. Camila couldn't believe how perfect everything seemed. She had found the man she loved, and they were about to start a new chapter of their lives together. But even though everything looked perfect on the outside, Camila felt a little nervous inside. She loved Daniel with all her heart, but there was a small voice inside her that made her unsure. She didn't know why she felt this way. Maybe it was the pressure of their public life, or maybe it was just the big changes happening so fast. But despite these feelings, Camila pushed them aside. She told herself that their love was enough, that everything would be fine as long as they had each other. After their wedding, Camila made a big decision. She wanted to support Daniel in his career, so she decided to step back from her own music career for a while. She didn't tour as much, and she stayed home more often. Daniel continued his football career. He traveled a lot, played matches, and worked hard to stay on top. Camila stayed home, waiting for him, hoping that their love would keep growing strong. At first, it wasn't so hard for Camila. She enjoyed being at home, reading books, and taking care of their little apartment. She thought everything would be perfect, just like it was when they were first dating. She loved Daniel, and she was proud of his success. But as time passed, Camila began to feel something she hadn't expected. She started to feel lonely. Daniel was often away, and when he was home, he seemed distracted. He would come home late, tired from his games, and sometimes he wouldn't even talk much. At first, Camila didn't think much of it. She thought he was just tired from his busy schedule. But the more time passed, the more she felt like something was missing. She missed the days when Daniel would smile at her, when they would spend hours talking and laughing. Now, their conversations were short, and his attention seemed to be elsewhere. One evening, Camila sat alone in their living room, thinking about everything. She looked at their wedding photos on the wall. It seemed like a lifetime ago, when they were so happy and full of hope for the future. But now, there was a coldness between them that Camila couldn't ignore. She missed the way things used to be, the way Daniel used to make her feel like she was the most important person in his life. Camila began to wonder if their love was still as strong as it once was. She didn't want to believe that things were changing. She loved Daniel too much to think that he might not love her as deeply as before. But deep inside, she knew something wasn't right. She tried to push those thoughts away, telling herself that they would be okay. After all, they were married now. They had a future together. But still, there was that voice in her head that wouldn't let her forget how distant Daniel had become. Despite these feelings, Camila stayed hopeful. She believed in love, and she believed in her marriage. She thought that as time went on, things would get better. But little did she know, the changes that were happening were only the beginning of a much bigger story. The first part of their love story had been full of dreams, hope, and promises. But as the days went on, the story was about to change. The love that once felt like a dream started to feel more like a shadow of what it used to be. Camila didn't know it yet, but the happiness she had once felt was beginning to fade, and a new chapter was about to begin, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew about love and trust. After their wedding, life for Camila and Daniel seemed to settle into a new routine. At first, everything felt good. They were married, and Camila was happy to be by Daniel's side, supporting him in his football career. She decided to stay at home more and take care of their apartment. She didn't mind stepping back from her music career to focus on their life together. Daniel, on the other hand, was busy. He had games to play, practices to attend, and travel for matches. Camila admired his dedication and enjoyed watching him play from the stands. She was proud of him, but as time went on, she began to feel more and more alone. At first, the changes were small. Daniel would come home late, tired from his busy day. He would kiss Camila briefly, but then he would disappear into his room to rest or check his phone. Camila didn't think much of it. After all, Daniel had a demanding career, and she understood that. But as the days passed, the little moments they used to share started to disappear. Daniel was always gone, and when he was home, he didn't seem as present as before. He spent a lot of time on his phone, texting and checking his social media. Camila felt a growing distance between them, even though they were still living in the same house. One evening, Camila sat alone on the couch, watching the clock tick by as Daniel came home late again. He barely said hello before heading straight to his room. Camila didn't want to admit it, but she began to feel forgotten. She missed the way Daniel used to smile at her and talk to her about his day. She missed their long conversations and the way he would listen to her problems. Now, it seemed like all he cared about was his phone or his next football match. It wasn't just the long hours Daniel spent away from home, it was also the lack of affection. Camila had always felt loved by Daniel, but now he rarely kissed her, and when he did, it didn't feel the same. Their love was becoming quieter, more distant. The spark that once filled their relationship seemed to be fading. Then came the big news. Camila was pregnant. She was excited and nervous at the same time. She thought that this new chapter in their life would bring them closer together. She imagined that once their baby arrived, things would be better. Daniel would slow down, and they would focus on their growing family. But as her pregnancy progressed, Daniel's behavior didn't change. He was still traveling for football, and when he was home, he was always busy with something else. Camila began to feel like she was carrying the weight of everything on her own. She was going to be a mother, but she was starting to feel very alone in the process. The first months of their daughter Sophia's life were difficult for Camila. She was tired from late nights and early mornings, feeding Sophia and taking care of everything at home. She didn't mind the hard work after all. Being a mother was something she had dreamed of for a long time. But she also missed Daniel. She missed having him there for the small moments that mattered so much. She missed the first smile, the first laugh, the first steps. Daniel wasn't there to see any of it. Instead, he was off training or playing in matches. Sending Camila quick text messages and emojis, but nothing that showed he truly cared about being a part of these important moments. One night, after another long day of caring for Sophia and waiting for Daniel to come home, Camila sat alone in the living room. She looked at the pictures on the wall, the wedding photos, the pictures of them as a happy couple. She felt a pang in her chest. What happened to the love they once shared? Why was Daniel so distant now? She tried to talk to him about it, but when she asked if he was happy, he would just say, "Sure," and quickly change the subject. It hurt. Camila felt like she was losing him, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't bring him back. One day, while Daniel was away, Camila noticed something that made her feel even worse. She picked up his phone, as she had done before, and saw a message from another woman. It was just a simple heart emoji, but something about it felt wrong. She didn't want to believe it, but her heart told her that something was off. She confronted Daniel about it, and he quickly brushed it aside, telling her it was nothing. It was just a friend from work. Camila didn't believe him. She wanted to trust him, but the feeling in her chest wouldn't go away. It was like there was a wall between them now, and no matter what she did, she couldn't break through. As the weeks passed, Camila began to notice more signs that Daniel wasn't the same man he had been. He was still physically there, but emotionally, he was somewhere else. He would come home late, barely speak to her, and spend hours on his phone. The love she once felt was slowly being replaced with feelings of loneliness and doubt. She knew something had changed, but she couldn't bring herself to face it. Daniel's behavior continued to make Camila feel like she was in the background of her own life. She was becoming invisible. It wasn't that Daniel was doing anything wrong, at least not in front of her. But his actions spoke louder than words. He was not there for her when she needed him. He was not there for their daughter when she needed him. And for the first time in their marriage, Camila started to wonder if she was truly part of Daniel's life, or if she was just a bystander in a relationship that was no longer what it seemed. Despite everything, Camila held on to the hope that things would improve. She thought that maybe, after a while, Daniel would realize how much he had changed, and he would return to the loving husband he once was. But deep down, Camila knew that the change in their relationship was more than just a phase. It was something deeper, something that she couldn't ignore any longer. One evening, after another long day of taking care of Sophia, Camila sat in their living room, feeling a weight on her heart. The silence in the house was heavy. Daniel had come home late again, tired and distant, barely saying a word to her before heading straight to their bedroom. She had tried to talk to him many times, but it felt like nothing was getting through to him. Every day, she felt more and more alone. Camila had tried to ignore the feelings in her chest. She wanted to believe that things would get better, that Daniel would eventually come back to her, the way he had been when they first met. But deep down, she knew that something was wrong. She had seen the signs, she had felt the change in their relationship. She had tried to talk to him, but Daniel had only brushed her off with short answers. Now, she could no longer pretend everything was okay. One night, while Daniel was away at another football game, Camila found herself sitting on the couch, looking at their wedding photos. She thought about their wedding day, how happy they had been, how full of hope their love had been. But now, everything felt so different. The love that once felt strong and bright now seemed like a distant memory. She missed the way Daniel used to look at her, the way he used to talk to her, the way he made her feel like she was the most important person in the world. Camila couldn't ignore the growing doubt in her mind any longer. She knew that something had changed between them, something that neither of them was talking about. So, one evening, she decided to do something she had never done before. She picked up Daniel's phone, her hands trembling. She knew that she shouldn't invade his privacy, but her heart told her she needed to know the truth. When she opened the phone, she found something that made her heart stop. There, in his messages, were words that confirmed all her fears. There were sweet messages, photos, and words of love between Daniel and another woman. Her name was Bella. The messages were full of affection, and Daniel had even called her his light. He had said he loved her. Camila's hand shook as she read the words, but deep inside, she knew it was true. Daniel had been hiding something from her for a long time. Her mind raced as she tried to process everything she had just seen. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't cry out loud. She couldn't. She felt like the world had just fallen apart. The man she had trusted, the man she had loved, had been hiding his feelings for another woman behind her back. He had broken her trust, and now there was no turning back. The next time Daniel came home, Camila couldn't hold it in any longer. She confronted him, her voice calm but firm. "I know about Bella," she said. "I know what's been going on." Daniel froze. For a moment, he didn't say anything. His face went pale, and Camila could see the guilt in his eyes. But there was no apology. There was no real regret. He didn't even try to explain himself. He just stood there, in silence, as if the truth had finally caught up with him. "I didn't plan this," he said quietly, almost as if he was trying to make excuses. But Camila wasn't listening anymore. She had seen enough. She knew what had happened, and she knew that there was no going back. "I want you to leave," Camila said, her voice breaking. "I want you to leave tonight. You can go to Bella. This isn't your home anymore." Daniel didn't argue. He didn't beg her to stay. He just picked up his things, said nothing to Camila, and left. He didn't even say goodbye to their daughter, Sophia. The door closed behind him, and Camila stood there, frozen in shock. She couldn't believe it. The man she had married, the man she had built her life with, was gone. And he had left her for someone else. The silence in the house felt deafening. Camila sank into the couch, feeling the weight of the moment. She had never imagined this would happen. She had never thought Daniel would betray her in such a way. But now, it was real, and she was alone. For hours, Camila sat in the dark, staring at the empty space where Daniel's things had been. She had never felt so empty in her life. She thought about Sophia, who was sleeping peacefully in her room, unaware of what had just happened. Camila knew she had to stay strong for her daughter, but in that moment, she didn't know how. The next morning, when Sophia woke up and asked, "Where's Daddy?" Camila's heart broke all over again. She didn't know how to answer. She couldn't lie to her daughter, but she couldn't tell her the full truth either. "He left," Camila said softly. "He's not coming back." Sophia looked at her with confusion in her eyes. She didn't understand why her father was gone, and Camila couldn't explain it to her. All she could do was hold her daughter close and try to find the strength to keep going. As the days passed, Camila's pain didn't go away. But slowly, she began to accept the reality of the situation. Daniel was gone, and he wasn't coming back. She would have to figure out how to move on without him. She would have to find a way to rebuild her life, for herself and for Sophia. It wasn't easy. Every day, the house felt emptier without Daniel. Every night, Camila felt the weight of the silence, but she knew she had to keep going. She had to stay strong for Sophia, and she had to find a way to heal. Slowly, little by little, she began to rebuild her life. She found the strength to start working again, to take care of herself and her daughter. And though the pain of what Daniel had done would always be a part of her, Camila knew that she was stronger than she had ever been before. She would rise above the heartbreak, and she would show her daughter that even when life is hard, there is always a way to move forward. Camila's journey was one of love, pain, betrayal, and strength. She started with a dream to build a beautiful life with Daniel, her husband. At first, everything seemed perfect. They were the perfect couple, living a fairy tale life with fame, love, and happiness. But as time passed, the cracks began to show. Daniel became distant, focused more on his career, and started neglecting Camila and their daughter, Sophia. Camila tried to ignore these changes, believing that things would get better. She hoped that once their baby arrived, their life would be perfect again. However, the truth slowly came to light. Camila discovered that Daniel had been hiding a secret relationship with another woman. Her heart broke, and the life she thought she was living fell apart. But instead of letting the betrayal destroy her, Camila found strength in her love for Sophia. She faced the truth, made the difficult decision to move on, and began to rebuild her life. Through this painful experience, Camila learned that love and trust are precious, but so is self-respect. She realized that she could not let someone else's mistakes define her future. The story of Camila teaches us many important lessons. First, it shows us that life does not always go as planned. Sometimes things change and people change, but it is how we deal with those changes that matters. Even in the hardest moments, we have the power to rise again. Camila could have stayed stuck in her pain, but instead, she chose to grow stronger and find happiness again. She learned that the love for herself and her family was more important than holding on to a relationship that was no longer healthy. For us, the lesson is clear. It is okay to face difficulties and pain, but we must not let them stop us from moving forward. We have the power to rebuild, to learn, and to grow. Even when life doesn't go the way we expect, we can still find strength in ourselves. How to apply this lesson in your life? Accept change. Life is full of changes. When things don't go as planned, don't be afraid to adapt and grow. Prioritize self-love. Always value your self-respect and well-being. Don't stay in relationships or situations that hurt you. Learn from your experiences. Every hardship can teach you something. Use your struggles as lessons to become stronger. Congratulations on improving your listening and understanding of English by following Camila's emotional journey. Keep practicing, and you will continue to get better. Now, here's a small quiz to test your understanding. Question: why did Camila decide to leave Daniel? A. Because Daniel became distant and had a secret relationship. B. Because Camila was not happy with her life. Please comment with your answer or B in the comment section. We would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Your support means a lot to us, and it motivates us to create more stories to help you learn English. If you appreciate the content we make and want to help support our work, consider donating. Your donation will help us continue producing quality content. We do this for free to help you learn English, and every little bit helps. Thank you so much for listening. Keep learning and improving your English.